Congressman Jim Jordan joins us right now, beautiful state of Ohio. He's on the House Judiciary Committee, the ranking member there. Congressman, always good to have you.
Good to be with you.
What did you make of what the Postmaster General was saying on the whole mail-in ballot issue? Because he says, I think the American public should be able to vote by mail. He says, we'll deploy processes and procedures that advance any election mail, in some cases ahead of first-class mail. Do you think that adequately addresses the concerns some Democrats had, many in your own party, that he was sent there by the president to make that next impossible?
Well, the real concern is when you go with live ballots sent out to everyone, as some states are doing, that haven't done this before. And you need no better example than the sponsor of today's legislation, the chairwoman of the Oversight Committee, Carolyn Maloney. Her election was on June 23rd, but it took 6 weeks to determine who the winner was. So that's the concern the president has. That's the concern I have. That's the concern I think lots of Americans have. This is not about the Postal Service. This is about politics. The Postal Service they got $14 billion cash on hand. They got a $10 billion line of credit. They're making more money right now than they were at this same point last year. So they're removing some sorting machines and changing out some mailboxes. Guess what, Neil? Every Postmaster General has done that. In fact, between 2011 and 2016, President Obama removed 12,000 mail collection boxes. Was he trying to influence an election or do? No. So this is the typical politics from the Democrats. One more way they think they can go after the president and attack the White House. I think Americans see through it. Americans want their elections to work safely. They want them to be secure. We all want that to happen. So let's make sure we focus on that.
You know, nevertheless, Congressman, the president did say earlier this week that he opposed election aid for states and an emergency bailout for the Postal Service, citing, among other things, that it might restrict many Americans' ability to vote by mail. But he also said that voting by mail has repeatedly made the claim that mail-in ballots can lead to widespread fraud. So do you believe this is as much about his trying to stymie the process than enhance it?
No, I think this is the Democrats playing politics. I mean, well, Neil, ask yourself this question, your viewers. Why are we voting on the bill today but not having the hearing on the legislation and hearing from the Postmaster General until Monday? Normally, it's the other way around. Normally, you want to get all the information, hear from the person in charge, the Postmaster General. How much you want to bet on Monday? How much you want to bet on Monday? They treat the Postmaster General just like they treated the Attorney General 3 weeks ago. How much you want to bet? Because this, again, this is not about any type of policy solution or concerns about what's wrong. This is all about politics. It was first the Russia investigation, then the first big hearing in this committee, this Congress, Michael Cohen, and he came in and lied 7 times. Then it was the fake Ukraine impeachment. Now this is just the latest effort of the Democrats to go after the president. And again, I think the American people see it, as evidenced by the simple fact we're voting on a $25 billion piece of legislation today, and yet we haven't had a hearing on it. The hearing is going to happen after the fact. So that tells you right there, this is not serious about real legislation. This is not real serious effort. This is political.
You know, I understand where you're coming from, Congressman, but if you're the President of the United States and you've long expressed, he's not the only one, reservations about an overwhelmed system dealing with what could be 100 million mail-in ballots, do you think he would welcome cutting financing for the post office to make that
of course not.
Next to impossible?
No,
Now, well, that's what Democrats are charging.
No,
so the timing of all of this is not odd to you, not odd.
No, it's like so many things the Democrats have said, it's not true. I mean, come on. But I tell you what is a concern. Do you really think if you mailed a ballot to every single voter, 150 million ballots, do you really think we know who the outcome and have all those ballots counted on election night? Because we know from we know what happened in New Jersey last month. They had their primary election. Their primary election, it took 4 weeks to count those. We know what happened in New York in the chairman of this committee, the sponsor of today's legislation. We know what happened in one congressional primary, her race. The election was June 23rd, and it took 6 weeks to determine a winner. Do we really want that in the biggest election, a presidential election, with 150 million people potentially voting? That's the scary thing. So look, if that's the concern I think the president has, and that's what he's expressing.
Right. No, I understand. Maybe I wasn't clear in my question, Congressman, that the timing of cutting aid would actually fit in with that notion, we're against this
we're
mail-in
not-
ballot stuff. It's going to overwhelm the system, so we will ahead of time make things more difficult. As you know, that's what Democrats are going to
we're not
argue
cutting
about,
aid.
that coincidental timing.
The CARES Act that we passed clear back in March, the first big stimulus to deal with the coronavirus situation, had a $10 billion line of credit. There's money that they got $14 billion they're sitting on, and they're actually bringing in, as I said earlier, bringing in more money now than they were at this point last year. So it's just not based in reality, the Democrats' claims.
All right, Congressman, very good catching up with you. Thank you. I know you work around the clock, so no surprise you're in on a Saturday. Jim Jordan of the House Judiciary Committee, the ranking member.